Hi, my name is Brooks Stevens, and this is my video walkthrough for Homework 2 for IST 852. So we're going to go through this project step by step. Step 1 being to create a project folder called Insurance, which I have done here in a Windows 7 VM. Step 2 has us starting a DB browser for SQLite and creating a database called insurance.sqlite. And as part of step 2, we'll be populating that with code that can be found here and is also displayed here in the PDF. So I went ahead and downloaded the codes into this text file here. And so to get it into the browser, I'm going to copy the code and go to the Execute SQL tab. Actually, before that, I need to actually create the new database into the insurance folder, which will be called insurance.sqlite. Exit out of that. Now I can go to the Execute SQL tab. I will paste the code into the code block here, run it, and down at the bottom it says that the query was executed successfully, and I can check on that in the Browse tab, and I can see each of the tables created here. So I'm going to go back to the tab, back to the PDF, and continue to scroll down. Step 3 has us populating that database that I just made with records, and in similar fashion the code can be downloaded here. It's also displayed on the PDF. I went ahead and downloaded it into a text file similar to step 2. So I will open that up, copy the code out of here, and do the same thing that I did for step 2. Pasting it, running it, and query executed successfully. And if I go back to the Browse tab, then I can see the tables are populated with the data that I inserted. Okay, we'll close that. Scroll down to the next step. So before moving on to step 4, I need to run this command here to check on the complete table, which is this here. So select star from complete, and I will execute that. So 4 rows returned, which are the 4 rows found here. So step 4 has us creating the constructs.clp file, and I will be pasting code into that file downloaded here in step 4. So I have already actually done this step here in the insurance folder. I have constructs.clp file where I place the code from step 4. Okay, which can also be found here in the PDF that I am scrolling down. Alright, another step 5, which I have also already completed, was to install Anaconda Python 3.6 and to download Jupyter. Jupyter comes with this Anaconda Python download, so it already exists. And this is the code that will be within that file, and I will show that here. I have the web browser open. This is the home page for that, and clicking on the insurance file here opens up this code that we need to run this entire program. So step 6 says to load the facts.txt file to Clips, run the rules, output the facts to a different file named factsedited.txt. Before we do that, I will need to go through step 5. So I will be running each block of code individually, and I will be keeping the insurance folder open. So you can, but before that, I did have to make some modifications to the code. For example, the original code in this block in 2 other locations had the file path that the professor gave, so I had to make sure to change that to the file path where my version or instance of insurance.sqlite is located. And to show you the other 2 locations where this change had to take place as well, was in this section for the facts.txt file, and then down here for the facts.edited or facts_.txt file, excuse me. And the reason why I'm only going to go through this step by step is because this section right here states that once the facts.txt file is created from running the code, I'm going to have to run that in Clips to produce an edited version, which will then be input into this block of code to produce the output that we desire for this assignment. So let's scroll back up to the top, make sure that this block of code is highlighted, so when I click run, it starts from that location. So running it, each of these. Looks like there was an error. Let me go back and check. Yes, I ran into this previously. I did not save this database, so in order to make sure that this actually works, the Jupyter needs to know that the file actually exists. So I will save. Nope, don't want to do that. I want to save the SQL file. I did this more easily before. Write changes. Write changes, yes. That's what I want to do. Write changes. So just to make sure everything runs smoothly, I'm going to revert the code that I just ran and start over. So running, and they're executed correctly this time because the file actually exists. I'm going to keep running through, so that produced an output. Scroll down, running, more output. Run that block. So this particular block is what I have to run in a separate program in order to proceed with the rest of the code here in Jupyter. So I'm going to go to the PDF where I can grab this code more easily. And then I'm going to bring back Clips, which is here. And I'm going to basically type in the code that was displayed here. So, okay, there we go. All right. So typing in the code. And I need the path for the constructs that I created. Oops. Getting a little bit ahead of myself here. Desktop, insurance, constructs.clp. Make sure I spelled it correctly. Looks like it's spelled correctly. Okay. So it was able to load the rules from the constructs file correctly. Next line, I'm going to load facts from the same directory. So C Castle desktop insurance facts.text. Okay, looks like it was executed successfully. I'm going to run the facts command just to check that there are facts. Yep, it populated correctly. And then I'm going to run it. And now I'm going to save those facts. Actually, we'll make that easier. We'll just change it to facts edited. And change that to save facts. And it says that it executed correctly. Let's go back to the folder and see. Yep, we have a new file called facts.edited. And we can open that up here, and we'll open up the facts.text. And compare the two, at least visually for a little bit. We can see that there is some more information in the edited version compared with the original facts version. So I'm going to close those out and go back to Jupyter. And now that we have the facts.edited facts_edited.text file, excuse me, then we can proceed with the code, because now there's a file that this line of code can reach out to. So run and run. Okay. So now we have the results of the data that we want displayed in a nice, neat, visually pleasing form. Okay. So to continue there, we're going to do a basic run through of the code, or the purpose of the program. So the PDF explained it a little bit. We're calculating a number of different prices based on a number of different variables. So in the DB browser, we have the different tables that were created. So we have information on the cars, the cities where the people who own the cars live, the contracts, so the people who have contracts with companies for specific cars, different pricings, and then we have the complete package, basically, of all the information per driver. So the constructs.clp file contained a number of rules that we input into clips that basically would combine the information and produce results that we wanted. So we have rules here to calculate the final price, and there's a description here for what that is. And the same, we have normal bonus rules, and then normal extra cost rules. So when we start running the code, so we're importing SQLite, And then the SQLite file that we're actually using is the insurance.SQLite with the appropriate path that we created here in DB Browser with all the information about contracts in the cars and the owners of those contracts. And so, and this is basically pulling the data from the complete table, which is the table created here, which has birth dates, male and female, what city they live in, the contract date, the refund, type of car, things like that. So the next one, we're converting to a data frame, because each of these rules that we created, not that we created, I didn't create them, that were already created in this text file, has rules to base the price off of certain factors. And so it needs to be able to, the code needs to be able to read the data in a specific format in order to make the proper calculations. So running that produces this window or table. Next, they're taking the data that is in that table and making some calculations based on that data. So running down, so it's, then this block of code is, as it states, calculating a new customer flag. And then we're going down here and calculating the driver age, producing another data frame. And then this one is recoding some of the variables for further calculations. And then this produces another data frame or table for viewing. And so this one, as it states, loop through the data frame, format each row in the following format, and export it to facts.txt. So, which then running this block creates it here in this path, which is this right here that we executed previously. And so the next step of the code, which we have already done, was to go to clips and upload the facts.txt and as well as the constructs.clp file, and running those together, which then produced in, and then we saved it to facts_edited.txt. And just to be clear, it was visible when I did it, but the load facts and the save facts section, I also had to put in the file path for where the facts.txt would be loaded from, and then where the facts_edited.txt would save to. Otherwise, the code would not work. And so the next block of code would then import that facts_edited.txt from my file path, and then it would open the information, read it, and then it would display all of that information in a nice data frame or table